Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Old Guy Jamming here, and today just sharing something that's heavy on my heart. We live in a strange time, signs of the times, perhaps. Sometimes in the circle of friends I have, we talk about how seemingly bad the times are, and then I'm reminded that back in the 70s when I was a kid, we had gas rationing. Our embassy had been overtaken by the Shah of Iran. Jimmy Carter was in power. We didn't have enough gas for everybody to go to the station on the same day, so you could only go to get gas when certain numbers on your license plate matched up with the day of the week. So times was pretty desperate back then, but as a school teacher, I had to do something weird this week, and that was include the students in training how to fight against a active shooter on campus. And the students are just soaking this in as if it's part of our common everyday life now. There was FBI instruction that was instigated in Idaho, and it's since been shared with our California school districts. And it's just a surreal thing to have to engage students in, Jimmy and Dora, you take care of the door. Fred and Wilma, you're going to pull the table over in front of the door since you're large enough to handle that, and then talk about the type of weapons we could use in the room, whether it be a fire extinguisher for bashing, scissors for stabbing, poles, bats in the PE department, hockey sticks, bats, things we could use if we needed to defend ourselves. There's good reasoning behind it. They recommend a three-step approach to an active shooter, and the one is to flee. First thing is to flee. After that, if you can't flee, then you're supposed to hide. And yet, as hiding, if you can't flee or hide and you find yourself in a room and you're still approached and threatened, then the third thing is to fight. The reasoning behind this is that in attacks, school attacks, where the staff or students have offered resistance, the attacks have lasted less than a minute. In situations where no resistance is offered, the attacks go on for as long as it takes law enforcement to get there, secure the school, and then find the shooter, which is sometimes 10, 12, 15 minutes or longer. So there's good reasoning behind it, but it's just a surreal thing. So much different than drop and cover when you're talking about natural disasters. To include students in having to think about securing a baseball bat or a pair of scissors or a fire extinguisher to combat somebody. It's just kind of wild. And yet, I guess back in the 60s, we were dropping cover for bomb threats from above because of the war. But still, it's weighing on my mind. And then secondly, I don't seem to be hearing a lot about the Canadian porn bust that happened just last week. 400 adults involved, over 300, something like 380 kids rescued, 400 adults involved in this huge Canadian bust. And among those adults arrested were 40 school teachers, 9 doctors and nurses, 6 law enforcement personnel, 9 pastors and priests, and 3 foster parents, among others. But these are just adults that have roles close to kids. Their occupation, their careers involve positions of trust for kids. And it's a little mind-boggling. It's, again, really surreal. And I don't know why we're not hearing a lot more about this as a problem. It seems to be in California anyway, we're much more concerned with Colin Kaepernick's special tryout and the impeachment hearings, in which none of the star witnesses, when asked, do you have a memo? Do you have an email? Do you have a phone call? Do you have something? A real piece of evidence? None of them seem to have anything like that. It's just, well, no, but this is what she said, or this is what he said, and or no, but this is the feeling I got. And it's so mind-numbingly bizarre that we're not hearing more about this kind of problem and or, a nuclear family as being so important to the raising of kids. more and more parenting is being put on teachers and state institutions, as if we can no longer talk about the importance of two parents at home. Never mind that it be a mom and a dad, but even still, the importance of having two parents at home, of guys sticking around to be fathers, of people standing up and being responsible for your actions. And it seems like, we can't talk about that because we might hurt someone's feelings. And those seem to be at the crux of what I can only assume or think is a real demise of our social health. Anyway, and as an out note, if we're, these things like this child bust ring up in Canada, if there is, it's like market economies. If there isn't a market for it, it's going to go away. The reason drugs are so prolific, the reason prescription drugs are so prolific, the reason sports are so prolific, the reason this pornography is so prolific is because obviously there's a market for it. And so if we're not part of the solution, then I think we're part of the problem. And I want to leave that out there too. If there wasn't such a high demand for it, it wouldn't be so prolific in our society. So anyway, that feels better. Thanks for listening. Get back to more guitar stuff here real quick. Got a lot of things planned. It's the holidays. Old guy is out.